So while I hang on one of the boatyard moorings in Basin Cove, waiting to be hauled out of the water, might as well get a jump on the annual haul out work list. So one job that needs to be done is to give the mast a couple of coats of varnish. Since I don't intend to pull the mast this year, this job has to be done from the bosun's chair. General procedure is you sand on the way up and varnish on the way down. And try not to get a whole bunch of varnish drips down on the deck in the process. Well, today it's raining, so I'm not going to be doing any varnishing. So I'm back at my dad's place here, and I've agreed to power wash the deck. And try to get all that green, whatever that is, slime off. That stuff is quite tenacious, I can tell you. It's a full day's project with the power washer to get all that out. But it always looks nice when it's cleaned up, and Dad likes to sit out on the deck, especially now that the warm summer weather will soon be upon us. Well, fair weather and blue skies have returned, and the boat is out of the water, up on the jack stands at the Finest Kind Boatyard in Harpswell. And so begins the disassembly process. Both the boom and the bowsprit need to be varnished, and so I have the boom swung forward, and I'm going to use it as a cargo boom to lift the bowsprit off. And both the boom and the bowsprit are pretty heavy. I'd say the boom weighs about 60 pounds and the bowsprit weighs about 80 pounds. So there's really no way to get that off the boat without some sort of a crane. So just carefully swing it outboard there. Once you got it clear, lower away. Down at ground level, I have to just detach the jib stay there before I can finally lower it to the ground. And I'll set it on some big keel blocks there so I can work on it. You can't varnish it when it's sitting in the dirt. So I have two big projects on tap for this haul out. One is to resize the trim tab to the self-steering wind vane. And I worked out a system with shock cords which added a centering bias to the steering action based on the movement of the tiller, which I call the Boothby-Hasler system, and it works very well. However, I still perceive a problem is that the trim tab is too large and it's too powerful. And I think still the oversteering problem is coming from the fact that the trim tab is overpowering the rudder. It's just moving it too far too fast. And many of you in the comments noted that it seems to have too much gain. I think we're essentially saying the same thing here. But in order to resize the trim tab, I'm going to have to move the lower gudgeon up. As it turns out, by 4 inches. And it also turns out that there was some rot in this old lower gudgeon, so I'm going to end up building a new lower gudgeon. But first I got to get the old one off. And I got the bolts out here, and now I'm just trying to break the bonds of that 5200 I used to seal it and also glue it to the rudder. can find anything here. Well, before you go out and start buying new lumber, best to check in the scrap heap first. Might be able to squeeze it a little. I think we can get 2 out of that. Oh, it looks like we'll just have enough here. And now comes the seemingly endless back and forth between the workshop and the job site. You shape it a bit, take a few more measurements, go back, shape it a little more, take a few more measurements until you finally get a fit. Alright, so my scheme to blend this patch in is to start off with some very fine wet sand. This is 600 grit, and then compound it, and then polish. Then I'm going to polish all of the top sides here. So hopefully that'll blend it in. Recall last year I switched from bright side polyurethane to the 2-part perfection, which has worked brilliantly. And so I'm hoping to get away with just repainting a couple of patches where the paint blistered, and otherwise just buffing the rest of it up. Alright, note for future reference, 600 grit sandpaper is way too coarse to use on a finish. So I'm having to apply some serious elbow grease with a rubbing compound to get the scratch marks out from the sandpaper. Probably should have started with around 1,000 grit. Clean the forepeak out and you just about fill the entire main cabin up. Just shows you how much stuff is on this boat and why long-term cruisers, especially on smaller boats, you have to be very conscious of everything you add. So you want a bicycle to get around town, that'd be nice. Okay, where are you going to put it? And right now I'm debating, I want to buy another drone as a backup. Just because I'm constantly, whenever I fly the drone, I'm just constantly in the fear, especially when I'm in a far-flung place, that I'm going to lose the thing or crash it, and then I'm going to have no way of getting a drone for a while, so I'd like to have a backup. But again, that takes up more space. Oh, I see that. Oh, I see. So that's where the bobstay is attached, right there. It looks like it could be a little tough to get a wrench into. So we're going to spray a whole bunch of goop because I want to replace the bobstay chain plate. And so right there's water. I wonder where that water's coming from. Oh, it's probably because the hawse is open. There's water dripping down somewhere. So now I'm on to major project number 2, which is to replace the bobstay chain plate, which is pretty significantly worn and corroded away. So I figured it was time. Alright, we're going to have to tack it on both sides here, inside and outside, to get those old bronze bolts out. The reason I replaced this is it's just slowly wearing away here. And you can see the original thickness here it started. That looks like about 3/8. And so we're down to about 1/4, 3/16. So almost half the flange is worn away. And I mean, it's probably still got another 10 years on it, but figure since I got all this rainy weather, I can't get any varnishing done. I could tackle this project. So here's its replacement. Oh, that'll fit on there quite nicely. And now, of course, we went from male to female here, so there's just there's a clevis that goes through here. And my idea as far as attaching the bobstay is just to use a Dyneema soft shackle. I think that would work quite nicely there. And so I'd say I've done a good job of tearing the whole boat apart. Naturally, the next step is to put it all back together again. Consider supporting this channel by becoming a patron. As a patron, you will be able to view my videos free of ads. You will also be able to leave comments, ask questions, and message me directly. You can become a patron for as little as $5 a month.